This is girlhood, is what everyone is saying about the summer I turned pretty, right? It's flooded my Instagram, it's flooded my TikTok, it's flooded my goddamn YouTube, and for good reason. Sorry, for good reason. It's absolutely sordidly bizarre that in a world where I often have a hard time falling asleep because I keep imagining the worst case scenario of what's going to happen to me in my country as it falls into the far right and extremist thinking. And then this show comes out and I watch it and all of a sudden I'm kicking my feet in the air and giggling and squealing at these like two fake people that don't exist, two fictional characters who just love each other so much. They are completely unable to stay away from each other. The last episode was absolutely insane in terms of chemistry. And you kind of have to think about it. See, I don't really have a review for you for these two past episodes because how can you review pure joy? How can you review pure joy? How can you? So what I want to talk about is the girlhood. This is girlhood allegations verified. I verify them right now. I want to talk about the finale and why it only made sense after the new announcement. And I want to talk about how it feels to have something like this, the fluffiest little thing, while everything that is happening in the world is happening in the world. This show is one of the dreamiest, most fantastical things I've watched in a while. Like, fantasy is dead. At this point in time in cinema and in TV, fantasy is kind of freaking dead. We had Superman, but it's more sci-fi than anything. Well, whatever. And this is the most ridiculous thing that I'm going to say, but lately, the places where I find fantastical thinking and like this sort of fantasy-like reality that just makes me feel joyous just to watch it is in romance. It's in stuff like The Summer I Turned Pretty and Heartstopper and Normal People and Prisma. It's in just these beautiful little worlds where everything is perfection and there is no political crisis, there is no economic crisis, there is no housing crisis. It's just a complete romantic fantasy. It doesn't have any fantastical elements in the traditional sense that we're used to thinking about dragons and fairies and whatever. It's a romantic fantasy in the way that Pride and Prejudice 2005 Keira Knightley version is a romantic fantasy. It's a fantasy about the kind of romance and passion and sensuality and love that we as girls, says the 29-year-old woman, know is possible. And we just can't have it because men refuse to go to therapy. I mean, how many of us out here in the world keep thinking, I wish I hated men because my life would be so much easier if I hated them. Because actually, truthfully, genuinely enjoying men and liking men is so fucking exhausting in a world where they are so messed up. Like, that's the thing I hear people talking about all the time these days. Like, I can't deal with men until they go to therapy and treat themselves and like fix whatever fucked up shit is happening with them that makes them a and murder women all the time. Like, they need to take care of that shit and then we can hang out. And these worlds, The Summer I Turned Pretty, like, that doesn't really exist. I mean, there are issues, of course, but generally these characters are so goddamn dreamy. It's like the wet fantasy of the millennial woman is right there in our screens. And that's how we find ourselves while the world is crumbling into pieces around us. We find ourselves watching this show, kicking our feet, giggling, and literally screaming at the littlest things, because it's the littlest things, the littlest details that get us going. Like, Jenny Han knew what she was doing with a watch, because as soon as I saw that shit be put down, I was thinking, oh, what in the Call Me By Your Name? Jenny Han knew what she was doing with the goddamn hands, because what in the Pride and Prejudice 2005 Keira Knightley version? Jenny Han knew what she was doing when she sat them, laid them together on the floor, because what in the Notebook, right? And it's like a world, a beautiful, romantic, fantastical world crafted for the worlds, like to meet the expectations of the worlds we have created inside our heads and we live in most of the time. I mean, let's be serious about this. How many of us trying to survive the imminent collapse of society are not living inside our own heads for some of the time, inside our own fantasies, inside our own like crafted realities that are escapist in itself? How many of us don't live inside our own fucking heads is what I mean. And The Summer I Turned Pretty has this dreamy, fantastical like aura to it, and it matches the worlds inside our heads. Like the last episode of them in Paris, all the little details, the little gazes, the fact that she looked at Conrad twice before blowing the candles, and we know she did that because she wished for him again. It's like, you know? I need to stop growling my videos. It's so goddamn hopeful. It's so hopeful because I was so surprised in a good way with that scene when they are dancing at night and just before they kiss, and Belly says, oh, what a brat I was, you know, during prom, and Conrad says, oh, what a little bitch I was running away, and all that stuff. Like, these were moments that were depicted as absolutely emotionally devastating for these people because it felt like that then, and it feels like that to us when we experience it in our real lives. But it also feels like that when time passes and we realize, oh, it was not that deep. I was just a brat. I was just a little bitch. Like, it was so perfect. And it's the perfect level of hopefulness that we need to experience in a perfectly romantic, fantastical world, because it passes this message of it doesn't really matter that much how much you get hurt, because you should get in the game again. Because when you get in the game again, well, I shouldn't call it game, but when you allow yourself to experience it again, whether with the same person or with another person, like the joy and the excitement and the love is still there, despite how much you have been hurt in the past. It's a show that talks about, like getting destroyed emotionally by someone you love, but also acknowledge the hopefulness of the time passing and you healing from it and being ready to be hurt again. And the possibility that one time, like eventually in your life, you're simply not going to get hurt like that again. And eventually in your life, you will have your happy ending. And I mean, like, this is the most ridiculous thing to admit on the internet, but I know this is not going to have many views, so I'm going to admit it. Like, after I watched the season finale, I went into my journal because I've been journaling since I was like 19 years old. I went into my journal, and the only thing that I wrote in the 17th of September of 2025 was, I want my happy ending. And it's like, that's not a thing. I live in the real world. I watch the news every freaking day and sometimes can't fall asleep thinking about it. I know that's not possible, but that's the goddamn beauty of this show. It makes you believe it's possible. It gives you hope for that kind of future. Even though you know it doesn't exist. Like, life just continues. There is no happy ending. The only happy ending is death. But it gives you that kind of hope. And there's just girlhood. So about the finale. I was thinking, where is everyone's reaction to them coming home? You know, where is the reunion between everyone? Where is the celebration? And I realized we didn't get it because a few hours later it was announced that there's going to be a movie, probably wrapping the whole thing up. And once again, kicking my feet in the air because yes, give me a movie about these teenagers that are not teenagers anymore, just falling in love and finding love and struggling through love. Like, give me more hopefulness for this fantastic romantic relationships, because I do want my happy ending and I'm not gonna get it. So at least I should watch it on screen. And finally, the bizarre contrast that I felt between, you know, feeling all of these positive, joyful emotions from watching The Summer I Turned Pretty twice, because then I watched it again before I went to bed. Because, I mean, come on. I've had moments when I've been watching, like, hardcore stuff before going to bed, and it gives me the worst nightmares. So now I only watch either comedy or fluffy things before going to bed, because I'm at that age where it just affects me. So, but like coming out of a summer I turned pretty, and then like during the day, watching the news and reading the news and all that kind of stuff, it's so goddamn bizarre. It's so bizarre because these worlds, these romantic worlds exist in another planet, another universe where, society isn't crumbling. And it's bizarre. And it made me think a lot about like the role of this idea of girlhood among all of this bullshit. Because I've been struggling with this for a while because the world has been going insane for a while. And the place where I always find the most hope and the most comfort is with my female relationships. With my female friendships. And I was just thinking about this because my Instagram has all of my social medias have been flooded with just horrible news all the time. And like the one of the rare exceptions was today when it was completely, utterly flooded by the summer I turned pretty posts and jokes and memes and cute little things and like girl group reactions and stuff like that. I think there are people that were like going to sports bars to watch the show. That's so cool. And then this morning there was this post that I saw from a press conference for a movie where Timothée Chalamet said, something about the imminent collapse of society, that he could smell it. And it's like, good morning, Timothée Chalamet. Like, we've been smelling it for years. Like, it's been pushed down our throats for years because this shit has been happening for years. And I have to tell you, I have smelled it as well. A few years ago, particularly around 2020, when what is now the major political opposition to the current government, back then it had just started. It was founded in 2019, and this is a far-right extremist political party. And right now they are the major force that is predicted to rule the country in the future. And I smelled it all the way back then, like 2020, 2021. And I remember even talking to a guy that I used to live with that was Angolan. And I asked him, like, are you worried about this? Are you seeing this? And his response was, that clown, it's not going to get anywhere. It's not going to do anything. And right now he's close to running the country at some point in the next few years. And I felt it back then. And I know that a lot of people felt it back then. Like, the signs have been here for a long time. We've been seeing them for a long, long time, that there is something happening in the world. It was with young men even back then. The conversations that I was having with my male friends, some of them back then were already this insane. Like, I was already having conversations in 2019 with a male friend of mine that was saying completely ridiculous things that we hear men say these days all the time. It was already happening back then. The signs were already producing dirty, dirty smells back then. You could already smell it back then. And I realized that, when he said that, because these are celebrities, they are in their little bubbles. For them to smell it, it has to be really bad. Really bad. So I wanted to talk about this because recently, and very, very recently, in the past few weeks, and I'm even afraid of saying it because I've been so critical of everything happening in politics in the world, but recently there have been certain things producing a different kind of smell, a more positive and optimistic kind of smell. And I'm going to say it here and then never again for the next 5 years because I don't want to jinx it. But there is something turning a little bit, and everyone is talking about the collapse of democracy, and there are signs everywhere, and everyone is talking about this imminent collapse of society. The World War III has never been more real or whatever. But if you pay a lot of attention and if you see how things are portrayed and how people discuss things, it's just recently there are things that I have been feeling are a little different to the positive side. And when I decided to title this video Girlhood versus the Imminent Collapse of Society, is because in the end, whenever we're facing the most ridiculous ass fucking odds, and even with the world around us kind of seemingly crumbling to pieces, we still find joy. That's what we do, right? Girlhood is about finding joy in the most ridiculously horrendous situations. This is where one of our main comforts come from. It's our female friendships. And I mean, there's been a lot of ridicule about the male loneliness epidemic recently. But the thing that I always think about is all of those straight men that aren't with any women aren't with any woman. You know, there is also a same amount of straight women that aren't with anyone. And no one talks about them. And no one talks about the female loneliness epidemic because it doesn't exist. Because we have each other. And we have had put in the work to develop these relationships. And like back to what I was saying a little bit earlier in the video, it feels so absolutely ridiculous that we are supposed to be employed to take care of these men as if we are, you know, their mothers. It goes like that. They have a mother, and then they have a wife mother, and then they have a daughter mother. Like, it's completely brutal to our side of the equation. And because we don't want to be trapped in these situations, we have developed ourselves and our relationships to become the support system. And they haven't. They have nothing. They haven't developed the skills that they need as a person to take care of themselves. They haven't developed the relationship skills they need to develop strong, trust-based relationships. And of course they feel alone, but it's not our failing. It's their failing. And this is the most ridiculous thing I'm going to say. And I'm saying it because like I'm on the high of coming out of this teen drama show, but it's just another example of something I felt all along. It's just in the midst of the chaos and all of the hardship we go through, we as girls, as women, we always find a way to have joy. We always find a way to, you know, enjoy being with our friends. We always find a way to think of a way out. And I mean, the fact that, again, there's the imminent collapse of society, which only leads to, I mean, come on. Whenever the rule of law is thrown away, the people who suffer the most are women. Look at some of those countries where women have absolutely no rights, you know? I mean, men suffer from the system too, but they're not the ones being oppressed, is what I mean. And this reminded me of that crazy ass protest that happened in London, where the group against the protesters was so small, and at one point they were like trapped and circled by all the protesters. And I mean, this isn't a normal protest of like chanting songs and whatever. These are like, from the images that I saw, mostly white men protesting for their right to be powerful, whatever the fuck that means. I mean, I know that's not what the protest was about, but come on. And at one point, like the people protesting against these people were encircled by them. And the only thing they found to do, like the only solution they found to resist was to dance. Was to just not have a party, but, you know, be able to feel some fucking joy in the midst of the absolutely terrifying chaos around them. Does this video make any sense? I don't know. I will figure it out when I post it, but this is what I felt about The Summer I Turned Pretty. Like, I have no review to give to you, because truly what I felt was just this immense joy at seeing these beautiful details. That is the thing we enjoy the most about romantic relationships, is like the longing and the hands and the looks and all those beautiful things. And like the fact that I was able to feel this much joy while everything around me is problematic, and while I'm in a phase where sometimes it's hard for me to fall asleep because I'm so worried about the future, and still I was able to enjoy this and feel complete pure joy. That's what I wanted to say.